Hi. So currently Twitter is being used as a tool by women to raise awareness about battles that they are facing. Of particular interest today is domestic violence. So the research is aimed to explore specifically the tactics that are being used by women over Twitter to raise awareness. Now, Durish and Bly define awareness as an understanding of the activities of others, which provides a context for your own activity. So concern here isn't necessarily what people are going to be doing in response to the information that they read or any action that they take, but just the simple fact that they know and are aware of the issues at hand. The norms as affordances of social media platforms, namely Twitter, and the hashtag movements allow women to expose the injustices they are facing in society, as explored by Choi. This is being done through what's called hashtag activism, which is just a tactic that's being used to disseminate ideas. It allows people to look up topics that are similar, that they're looking for, to just track certain trends. So next we're going to go into the benefits of Twitter specifically, which are fourfold. First being the connection with others with a similar cause. So Twitter allows for a global conversation, and through hashtags, individuals are able to find conversations that are similar to what they're looking for, so they can participate in that conversation. Second is that Twitter injects more voices. Because social media is so accessible to everybody, more people are able to participate in these conversations than they would be able to otherwise. So, for example, with our issue of looking at issues that women are facing in society, whereas dealing with these issues maybe at a higher level, such as Congress, or at a legal level, through Twitter and social media, individuals just like you or I are able to participate in these conversations and raise awareness of such. Third, Twitter allows for a global connection. So because of the accessibility of Twitter, people from all over the world that otherwise would not be able to contact each other or have conversations are able to do so. And fourth, Twitter is a low cost of entry. So as mentioned before, anyone can join in on the conversation. As long as there's access to internet and a computer, anyone can get on Twitter. So the action that's taking place online is going to be examined through the frame of collective action. So this is defined as any action that individuals undertake as a psychological group and with the subjective goal to improve their group's conditions. So this is going to be looked at for how women are using hashtag activism to raise awareness, because these are groups of people that do have a goal collectively, and the information that they are putting online is for the purpose of raising awareness and trying to create change. So whether or not people will participate in collective action is based on a few criteria. First being group identity, so people want to feel like they're a part of something larger. Second is the efficacy of the movement, so people will participate in an activity online if they feel that it is going to be effective to do so and that will create change. Third is perceived injustice, so people are more likely to participate online and participate in a cause through collective action if they do believe that there's something wrong. Now, in looking at our research question, this strongly relates because the purpose of raising awareness is to allow people to know that there is injustice going on that they wouldn't otherwise know about, so that change can start to take place. So this all wraps up to our research question, which is, how are women using Twitter to increase awareness around domestic violence? So now we'll move into the method used to examine this. So first we'll go through the text. What we were examining were specifically tweets. So the data consisted of 30 tweets of two hashtags, first being hashtag why I stayed and hashtag safety tips for ladies. And this was done through a structured random sample. So basically I went through the top posts list and chose every 10th tweet. I wanted to go through the top post list because I wanted to see what was being spread and what currently is being most effective in these efforts to raise awareness. Tweets from both men and women were used. So even though the research question is looking at how are women putting in effort to raise awareness about domestic violence, men are also able to participate in these conversations and these efforts, even though the original purpose was by women and for women. So the procedure of how this was done was using a thematic analysis using constant comparative methodology. So me and a colleague of mine, who is a male, I wanted to use a male as my second coder just to get that dynamic of perspective, so I felt that the research results would be less biased. So first we each analyzed the tweets and looked at what themes that we saw and what tactics were being used. After this, we brought our results together and created a rubric based on commonalities. And once we created that rubric, each coder, him and I, then again independently analyzed the tweets using the rubric. Now the rubric revealed that there are 6 trends, as far as we could identify, that are being used to raise awareness. First being fear, second being personal experience, third being fact-based, fourth was humor, and then there were 2 sections that we felt were more opposed to the efforts of the original hashtag, and those were advertisements and unrelated or random content. Now the results found that the first 4 are being used to fulfill the mission of these hashtags. So fear accumulated at 6.6% of the total tweets between the 2 hashtags. An example of this is, quote, hashtag why I stayed because I was scared to start over again after spending 8 years with someone, end quote. So this tweet is specifically stating that there was a fear involved in that relationship, and it gives a behind-the-scene look at why it is that some women remain in those situations. Second was found to be humor, and that accounted for 21.6% of the total tweets. So an example of this is, quote, consider wearing little or no clothes. Most fantasy movies / games show its strongest form of armor. Hashtag safety tips for women, end quote. So this is demonstrating a use of satire and extreme advice to kind of catch attention of audience members and readers as an effective way to raise awareness. Third was found to be personal experience, bringing in 21.6% of the total tweets. An example of this is, quote, hashtag why I stayed, told myself it wasn't abuse because it wasn't physical. I made excuses for all the red flags because I was desperate to be loved, end quote. So this is a very personal narrative of someone that shared their experiences on Twitter to give a look to others what's going on behind closed doors that people otherwise would not be able to be aware of. And then the most popular effort being made is through fact-based tweets, and that was 28.3% of the total tweets between both hashtags. An example of this is hashtag safety tips for ladies. Was originally a sarcastic response to a victim-blaming article. So this is just simply stating the fact of the purpose of this hashtag, just so individuals who are reading, audience members, are able to be aware of these efforts being made and the purpose of these tweets. For the tweets opposing the goal, we found that advertisements comprise 15% of the total tweets. An example of such is, quote, do you keep emergency tools in your car? Damsel in distress has tools that can and do save lives. Hashtag safety tips for ladies, end quote. So this is more of an ad for a company that is trying to sell their safety products. It's not necessarily directly correlated to raising awareness about domestic violence, and it's more just a trying to get their name out there because this is a popular hashtag that's currently being circulated. Unrelated and random tweets comprise 6.6% of the total tweets. An example is, quote, I played League of Legends and I raped my sister, hashtag why I stayed, end quote. So this definitely is not related to the purpose of the hashtag activism movement. And so there are some efforts that are being made that are effective, and that tactics that are being used to fulfill this purpose of raising awareness. However, it was also found that there's some that may be detracting from that as well. So overall, the purpose of this research was to explore the ways in which women are using hashtag activism on Twitter to raise awareness about domestic violence. So overall, each method that's being used is a new and creative way to capture the attention of those who are either fellow victims or are unaware of the issue. The overall purpose of these tweets is to leave an impression. So again said, raising awareness isn't necessarily measuring the actions that's being taken in response to these tweets, but just simply getting that information out there for people to know about. So the value of this research is that Twitter provides a forum where it is possible to shape people's frame of reference surrounding abusive relationships and be the starting point for that social change. So potentially, once awareness is raised, action will then follow. There were some limitations of this study that should be taken in consideration before making generalizations. So first, we were looking at a small sample size. So we're looking at a total of 60 tweets, 30 being from 2 different hashtags. So there are a lot of tactics that may have been unaccounted for, and that should be taken into consideration. Again, only 2 tweets were looked at. There are so many other hashtags that are being used by women to raise awareness. And so for future research, that should be considered, and those should be looked at as well to get a bigger picture of what's going on and the atmosphere around the issue. So generalization overall should be cautioned. However, this research does provide a great starting point to enter the conversation of examining the feminist movement currently and the current atmosphere of the issue. But further research is needed, particularly just making sure that the generalizations can be made, but also, as the research suggests, there are namely the advertisements and the unrelated content that has the potential to detract away from the purpose and may offset some of those positive effects. But again, further research would be needed to verify this hypothesis. Until then, again, this research is a great stepping stone to begin the discussion of specifically how women are using social media and Twitter to raise awareness about domestic violence. Thank you.